And Thomas first heard about Toastmasters from a friend who had been to a few meetings. Whilst Thomas liked the idea of public speaking, he initially thought it was too far out of his comfort zone to even attempt. So he thought about it for a couple of years and then eventually bit the bullet and decided to attend a meeting at Frankston Toastmasters. He instantly fell in love with the supportive nature of Toastmasters and realised it was the perfect organisation for him. Within a month, Thomas had taken on the club officer role of Vice President of Public Relations, and 2 years later, he still feels as enthusiastic about Toastmasters as the day he first walked in. Thomas is now the Vice President of Education at Frankston Toastmasters and is passionate about supporting and encouraging others to challenge themselves and to build their confidence when doing so. Thomas is also a maths educator and is currently completing his PhD. When he is not studying or at Toastmasters, you might find Thomas at home driving his partner crazy as he practices the hand didgeridoo. I never knew such a thing existed. Maybe we'll have a demonstration at the start of the presentation. Maybe not. Anyway, please welcome Tom with his introductory training for new Toastmasters. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. And yes, my hand didgeridoo is something that I'm not very good at it. I'll give you a quick demonstration. It goes. Now, you can imagine that as I walk around and I do that every day in front of my partner, she kind of goes a little bit nuts. And also, it all started out actually when I was in a car trip many years ago with my family, and we were going to Queensland. So could you imagine going 100 kilometers an hour and having me in the back seat between my two siblings playing that for a good hour at least. So I can see there's a number of kids that walk through the screen. I just feel for all the parents, or especially for my parents, if they had to deal with that. So firstly, thank you very much for having me come along today and present to you guys. I'm really excited to have the opportunity to do that. I know that we are pushed for time, so I'm going to try and get through this first little bit. We've got plenty to get through. So let me bring up the first one. This analogy that I came across, it's called the Learning Pit. And I think it is so relevant to Toastmasters, but not just Toastmasters, but actually any kind of thing that we come across. You see, in our lives, we will just be cruising along, and then all of a sudden we'll come across a challenge. Now, for many of us, for many of the people who are here and new to Toastmasters, that challenge might be public speaking. For me, as it was mentioned before, that was a challenge for me. I loved it. I liked the idea of it. But at the same time, I was too nervous. And I was nervous because I thought this is going to be a place where, you know, you've got the best of the best coming along, and I had to try and be the best of the best. And I realized that that wasn't the case, that people are extremely supportive. But at that point in time, I decided, do you continue along just doing what you're doing, or do you decide to take on the challenge? And I decided to take on the challenge of going to Toastmasters. Now, when you take on this challenge, all of a sudden, you leap into the unknown, right? And as you leap, maybe sometimes you might fall, you might stumble, you might hurt yourself. For example, like my ego at times, when I thought I went in, I thought, okay, I'm going to be okay. Like I'm a teacher, I'm confident in terms of speaking to people. But then I went along and I started getting feedback. Oh, Tom, have you thought about changing the speed at which you speak? And all of these things that I didn't actually realize were things that I need to work on. So sometimes your ego or your confidence might be just dented a little bit. And then you go, okay, well, what's happening here? Do I want to now give up because all of a sudden, all these things that I thought I was okay at, I now need to work on? Or do I stand up triumphantly, brush it off, and then decide to work on these things that I need to work on? And public speaking isn't just one of those things. Like I'm thinking also, you know, I'm doing stuff with the Vice President of Public Relations. For my first 6 months when I took on that role, I was terrible at it. And I almost gave it up because I just knew I was doing such a bad job. But then I thought, no, there's a moment here. I need to stand up and continue to work on this. So eventually you continue to work on it. And at first things get tough, but then you start to work through it. And eventually you start to come out of it and you start to feel more confident in what you do. And, you know, this is the bit that I love most about Toastmasters is you can reach out and ask people for help as you do this. So at the end, what happens with this is you go through this process and sometimes you want to give up down the bottom, but if you keep going through and if you keep working on it, then eventually what happens is you go from a point where we were here to a point of improvement up here. And sometimes it takes a fair bit of work to do that. And you're going to get worse before you get better. But eventually, when you keep working at it, you will keep getting better. So the reason why I wanted to talk about that is because there's some confusion and stuff that comes through when you're going through that process of not understanding and getting better. And I want to sort of bring up some of this confusion now, because I was thinking about this. I was thinking about Toastmasters, and I was thinking about my memberships, first of all, at other clubs. For example, I'm a passionate Richmond supporter, passionate Tiger supporter, and I'm a member there. Now, I spend $500 a year on my membership for the Richmond Tigers. In fact, I haven't actually been to a game probably in 12 months, and I'm probably not going to get to go before the end of the year as well. So I spent about $500 on this Richmond membership, but also I love McDonald's. All right, and let's not judge me now, but I love McDonald's, and I also probably spend, which is a bit embarrassing to say, about $500 a year on McDonald's. Now, at one of them, I'm a member, but I wouldn't say I'm a member at McDonald's. I'm a customer. What I'd be interested to hear from you guys and your thoughts is, what's the difference between a member and a customer? Just chuck it into the chat. Commitment from Nola. Belonging from Karina. Loyalty. Yeah, trust me, being a Richmond supporter, I had to be pretty loyal for a number of years. Members share values of the club they belong to. Okay, so there's some value stuff coming in here. A member believes. You signed up. Giving as well as receiving. So and this is where I'm going to now start to throw us into that pit and try and get some understanding from it. What about McDonald's? I still give money and I receive my goods. Does that make me a member then of McDonald's? Accountability. So with accountability, I would expect that my food at McDonald's would be good. Is that then, and I'm holding them to account, because otherwise I'll be like, no, I'll send this back and I want some more food. There's some accountability there as well. So is that still a member or a customer? Okay, so it's personal. Fellowship and community over a product. Okay, so with my members, I'm thinking, and I'm just trying to chuck us in this ditch to try and get an understanding deeper and all that kind of thing. For a Richmond membership, I don't necessarily know other Richmond members. I don't know all the other Richmond members there. Is there how does that make me a member of Richmond or us members, even if I don't know them? What value is there for you to be a member? Members are loyal. They're supporting a community. There's a common purpose. When I go to McDonald's, is there a common purpose for me to, we're all in McDonald's to eat? Does that make us all members? Belonging, community. Okay, so what I'm seeing here, which I'm loving. And the reason why I wanted to do this is I wanted to put us in that dip, right? We all have a good feeling of what a member and what a customer is. When I think of members, I'm still trying to get my head around this, but it seems to be about the values which seem to keep coming through the community, that side of things. When I think about members and customers, I believe that we see both in Toastmasters. Sometimes we have members who come along and they give in everything, they put in everything. And then sometimes we have customers. And I know that we've had some that I've seen in my time in Toastmasters over the last couple of years who will come along to every odd meeting or so. They'll do a speech and then we won't see them for another couple of months. And then they'll come along, they'll do another speech and then we won't see them for a couple of months. And I think what we want to think about moving forwards is, well, what am I for my club? Am I a member? Or am I a customer? Now, at the end of the day, you can be whatever you want. Your Toastmasters experience is your Toastmasters experience. But think about, well, what is going to give me the most value? Being a member or being a customer? And when we think about all those values that we're talking about in terms of community and giving back, I'd argue that members get more from the experience. Now, why do I talk about this? Well, I talk about it because I think it's important for us as members to be giving back as much as we're receiving. And to get the most out of Toastmasters, I really believe that we need to have that being a member in the back of our mind. How can I be the best member? And these are my tips, my top tips. I was thinking about, like, if I was a Toastmaster going back 2 years, like, what would I wanted to have heard? And so these are Tom's top tips for Toastmasters. And I feel like I need like a big pump up song or something like that to bring it in. But we, and especially push it, because as I was putting these down, I was like, oh, it comes out, let's push it. So number one is prepare for meeting roles and bring your best. Now, I noticed that a number of people were talking about that. So my first one would be prepare for meeting roles and bring your best. Because when you get feedback, if you haven't brought your best, then what's the point? The feedback isn't really valuable unless you've brought your best and then they're taking you to that next level. Use your week off. So if you're a member of one club, it's generally every 2 weeks. Use the one where you're not meeting as the week off to actually prepare your stuff. Say yes to as many things as you can. So like I've said, I keep saying yes and I find myself going, I don't have the time to do this, but every time you do it, you get an opportunity to improve. Have a notebook or an app that you carry. So I've always got my phone with me and I use Evernote and I take notes of all of the things, all of the speech ideas as they come to mind. So as soon as I have a speech idea, I write it in my Evernote app on my phone, and then I'll go home and I can access that from my computer and I can then start to build on that speech idea. But if you don't write it down, then you will forget it. Identify what you want to work on and strive towards this. So for me, I really like to think about, okay, what is the one thing I want to work on? And before every speech that I do, I will then have a chat with the person who's evaluating me and say, hey, can you please just focus on this one area in particular? So yes, I'm going to have all these other things, but I really want to focus on this one thing and give me some really specific feedback about that. And then finally, I would recommend taking on the same role 2 weeks running. So if you're Toastmaster of the evening 1 week, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to fluff your way through it. It certainly is. It's hard to get done perfectly the first time. So then use that as an opportunity to come back the next week and make those improvements. Now, I have run a little bit over time in this first part of the session, but I'll make up for it in the next. What we're going to do now is we're going to break out into separate groups, into Easy Speak and Free Toast. And we're going to explore how to sign up to a role. So I think if we can keep it probably to 5 to 7 minutes, I don't think it will take too much longer than that. Who's helping me out with it again? Sorry.
So I've got the breakout sessions set up. I believe Sue is running the Easy Speak session.
So no, sorry, Christina's running the Easy Speak session and Tom's running the Free Toast.
Great. So when I hit the go button, you will all receive a request to join a breakout room. Please do click on that link and follow to the breakout session. If you find you, for some reason, are in the wrong room, if you would prefer to be in the opposite room, let your room master know. So that would be Tom in the Free Toast host or Christina in Easy Speak. And they can get in contact with me. All right, everybody ready? 1, 2, 3, rooms are open. Oh dear, I have Debbie's voice here, but not.
Can you hear me, Danny? I cannot hear you.
I can hear you, yes.
Oh, yes, I can hear you now. That's okay. Yeah, because I'm in twice, so.
Yes, yeah, so your voice is in the main session and your picture is in the Free Toast host.
Okay, so I've got to.
I wonder if I can force you in there.
You still there, Danny?
Yep, I'm still here. I don't know how to get you in there.
That's okay. I can see what he's doing. And it's going to, and it's being recorded, so.
Oh, good. Okay.
I believe it's being recorded, isn't it?
Yeah, we are recording today. Yep.
Even the breakouts?
I believe so. Potentially. I wonder if bear with me a second. I'm going to see if I can join. No, that's not going to work, is it? I was thinking if I join
Okay.
Free Toast Host and then drag you in there.
No, it's okay. I can see what he's doing.
Okay. Because I can see it says the one that you're in and speaking to me now. It says not joined, and I'm like, I don't know why.
Do you want to send me another invite?
Hang on a second. I'm going to move that one to Easy Speak, and then I'm going to move you back
Oh, it's
to Free Toast Host. Do you have a meeting request now? Oops, she's gone. Good. Okay, that really didn't work out, did it? Sorry there, Debbie. It completely failed. I can't hear you either. I don't know where you are. Is your voice somewhere else?
Yeah, so my voice ended up in Christina's room and my face was in Tom's.
My face is bright red right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. As I said, I had so many issues on Monday night. And then I got so stressed out. I thought I was going to cry. And Christina's messaging me in the background going, "It's okay, breathe. I'll be your timer." I said, "But you're a guest." She said, we're friends. It worked out okay. We're all Toastmasters. We know these things happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
When my technology fails, I lose it. As I said, if it was a sewing machine, or it's Michael's trying to figure out what do I sew with on that's related to a body part, because my background I was originally a nurse, and now I'm been in admin for 20 years. That's how I equate things.
Yes, yeah.
But the technology, it just does my head in.
I can understand that. I've just realized that when you click close the breakout rooms, it then starts a clock of it closing in a minute. So hopefully, here's our Free Toast host people coming back. That's fantastic. Awesome. We're just missing 2 more from the Free Toast host session. And Easy Speak should be coming very, very. Okay, here we are. And we're back. Back to you, Tom.
Excellent. Thanks. I just accidentally went on to mute. So I'm talking away and was not getting anywhere. All right. So I've gone through these top tips. We've talked about taking the first step and now taking on table topics. So table topics to me remind me a little bit of Donald Trump, actually. So first of all, the very sound of them alone, they make me nervous. They're unpredictable and you just never know where they're going to go. So really is, for me, table topics is something that I get worried about every time I get up there and do it. But at the same time, it's one of the best things to do in Toastmasters, because as soon as you get up and do a speech or do a table topics, you sit back down and all of a sudden, all of the ideas that you needed at the time come flooding to your brain. And then for me, as I go to bed, they just keep coming. I should have talked about this. I should have talked about this. And I actually chucked it out because I threw it out to the community within the District 73 on Facebook page, on the Facebook group. And I said, well, what do people recommend for addressing or for having a go at table topics? Because it's certainly not my strength. So I threw this one out to the community, and these are some of the ideas that people came up with. Now, I did ask Danny, could you please come up with a theme for me for table topics? If you could just throw one at me, and I'm going to try and attempt not a whole table topic, but just sort of give an example for each one of these. So have you got something for me, Danny?
Absolutely. What can money not buy?
Excellent. Okay, so these are the tips I'm going to use, and I'm going to use the question, what can money not buy? So for example, you could go past, present, and future. So I could talk about money in the past wasn't able to buy me much. In fact, I didn't have much money in the past. Then I could talk about the present. But now I'm a student and I still have no money, so I still can't buy me much. But I'm a student so that one day I can make a lot of money. So in the future, I'm going to have a lot of money. All right. So there's a past, present, and future. I could then talk about my timeline when I use a timeline. So I could say, when I was 18, I had absolutely no money because I was spending it on my car. And then as I turned 30, well, then I decided to go out and party and all that kind of thing. So I still had no money. And then when I'm 60, well, I'm going to be retired, but I'll be traveling, so I'll have no money again. The next one is point, reason, example, and point. So I could come up with a point of money is an important thing to have. My thinking behind this is because without money, we can't survive. For example, I can't eat. So therefore, money is an important thing to have. Discuss both sides of the argument and then pick your conclusion or summary. So my next thing that I could then talk about is something along the lines of money is important for some people, but it's not important for others. For example, money is important for those who want to go out and buy yachts and all those types of things. In fact, I'm watching a show at the moment about people who live on yachts, and that's a really important thing. But for some people, happiness is more important. And when you win the lottery, a lot of people actually become less happy because they've got lots of people asking for money. So therefore, really, is money important? yes, I think it is because I want to buy yachts. The next one is you could tell a personal story about money or when that's been important. Now, I think I've lost track of the question. Could I get you to repeat that one back to me again, Danny?
What can money not buy?
I did lose track of the question. And this happens too at times in table topics. So what can money not buy? Well, when I was younger, what I really wanted was I guess a friend. I didn't have too many friends when I was younger. And I tried to buy lunch for people in order to get them to be my friend. But at the end of the day, they took their food and then they still said mean things about me. So money can't buy friends, right? And that's not really a personal story. I kind of made that up, but that actually can take you back to, that can take you to the next one, well, the one that's coming up soon. Who, what, where, when, and how. So you could tell a story along those lines. I won't go through that process as such, but you can see here, there's a whole bunch of ways that you can go about doing this. You can segue into another topic. So as I kind of did before, accidentally, I started talking about, well, money's important, etc., or money's not important. You can do that, but then you can come back at the end and answer that question. So you don't have to answer the exact question if you're not feeling comfortable. The main point is that you're just getting up there and having a go. Will it win you a competition at the district level? No, it won't if you segue into another topic. But what's most important for new Toastmasters is the fact that you're just getting up and having a go. And then tell lies with imagination. Now, when Nola sent this one through as a response, I thought, what a ripper. And that's exactly what I went to with the telling the story about buying people food. If I was in that position, I probably would have tried to buy them food, but who knows? So those are the tips that came from the group in terms of how could you approach a table topics. Now, how much time? I've lost my timer. Have we got any time for someone to practice and maybe have a go? Or are we running out of time?
Sorry, timer fail here.
That's okay.
You've got another 4 minutes.
All right. Well, let's throw it out to the people. All right. I have got a question, and if there's anyone who would, I can't see people because I'm on the screen at the moment, but if there's any new members who would like to have a go, and I'm going to put this up there. So I'm going to throw the question out. I'm going to give you a little bit more time than what you would normally think. I'm going to give you 20 seconds to quickly come up with a response. And if someone wants to answer a question, I'll put it out to you. So here are those tips that I've used. Okay. And my question I'm going to ask actually came from the district competition last year. Whoops, I put my foot in it. Whoops, I put my foot in it. Have a look at these strategies. I'll give you 20 seconds. First person to put their hand up is the person who'll speak. Yep, excellent. Now I've got someone down the bottom who has just put their hand up. I can't see your name, sorry. That's
Eva.
Eva, excellent. Eva, okay. You've got, for table topics, you've got 1 minute is green, 1 minute 30 is yellow, and 2 minutes are red. And go.
Okay, so that's a great question. Oops, I put my foot in it. And the first thing that pops to my head as a personal story is, and I imagine many have done this themselves, is that moment you speak to somebody who potentially looks like they might be pregnant and continue to ask them when they are due, only to realize the moment that the word leaves your lips, based on their reaction, that they are not in fact pregnant. And yes, continue to try and dig yourself out of a hole that is almost impossible to remove yourself from, and therefore is a very big lesson that it's probably the last time that you're going to do that, and you might consider a few prompting questions that don't truly show that that's what you think in the first instance. and I, in that particular situation, I managed to backtrack enough. However, I think the damage had been done. And for anybody that, yes, for anyone out there that hasn't been in that situation, my best advice is, if in doubt, don't ask.
And I can attest to that, because I have found myself in that situation, and it's the worst possible thing, isn't it?
Yes.
You know what? My biggest, and that was a brilliant response, and that's my biggest fear coming out of isolation, because, you know, we're all sitting on the couch a lot more, so like, I'm just going to have to make sure I don't talk about that whatsoever. So thank you very much for that, and I like the idea of having a few questions up your sleeve. Brilliantly answered. And the other point that I really wanted to make was, with table topics, it's just about trying to make it to that green light, and once you've done that, then you've had a go. Well, first of all, it's actually about getting up and having a go. But the second thing is, if you can set your challenge of making it to the green light, then that's brilliant. And you did that really, really well. So thanks, Eva, for that. And thanks for sharing. Just because of time, and I know that we were meant to finish at 11:30, I will stop there. I would have liked to have given someone else another go. But I'd just like to thank you all for, you know, being part of this workshop, and for giving me the opportunity to speak to you this morning. Thank you.